Good evening, everybody. I'll tell you, I don't mind at all riding on the coattails of my dad. It's a story we're very proud of in my family. So I thank you for the sort of lovely sigh of delight when in hearing his story. I also wanted to just begin in thanking John for the story that you opened up with about the physicist and the impact here on Symphony Hall. One, because my dad as a physicist would be very excited to hear physicists mentioned in any way. But two, because it's a fun fact that I did not know, and which I'm a little sheepish to say because Symphony Hall used to be in my district before I lost it in redistricting. And it's a wonderful expression, a wonderful case study in that cross-disciplinary cross-pollinization that we get in the arts and sciences. And it's wonderful as a part of my job that I often get to, that old saw about you learn something new every day, and to come to an event like this and learn some wonderful new fact about both art, science, and my near district is a delight. And it reminds me also of something that when you go to the University of Virginia, you hear a lot of Thomas Jefferson said this and Thomas Jefferson said that. It's sort of part of your daily lexicon. And at the University of Virginia, we're not freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. We're first, second, third, and fourth years. And the explanation of that is because Thomas Jefferson said that you're never a senior in learning. And I was looking at the Phi Beta Kappa slogan up here that learning for all of life, and I interpret that as not just all of the things that you might come across in life, but that we never stop learning. So thank you for living it out by teaching me something new today. Thomas Jefferson would also be very proud, in addition to my dad. So I wanted to just share a little personal story about the impact of arts education in my life, in the way that it influences the work that I do with Anita and my colleagues in the legislature and our efforts to support the MCC. And we're so thrilled to have Phi Beta Kappa's partnership in the support of the MCC and the work that they in turn do. We didn't have a lot of money in my family growing up. Dad was a public servant, as you heard, but also my mom was a social worker. And they actually divorced when I was very little. And so, money was always tight. And, anyone in here knows social workers, right? You're not raking it in. But arts education was something that my mom really prioritized from the get-go. And so even though she was always scrimping and saving, and we would have soup night once a week to help make the budget ends meet, she saved in order to meet the priority of being able to give us arts enrichment as children. And she saved up in order to buy 2 season tickets to the Boston Ballet for several years when we were children. And she would alternate between taking my sister and me to the shows. And at first, it didn't connect when I was very little, and she used to tell me to run up and down the stairs during the intermissions just to get my energy out, so I would sit still during the show. But eventually, it took seed, just the fact that I had the exposure to that kind of enrichment, and went on to really become a very involved dance student throughout my childhood and into the high school years. And the things that I learned through dance are things that are deeply relevant to the work that I do now as an elected official, and many of the things that I did in between. Learning discipline in pursuit of a goal, of a long-term goal, teamwork, the ability to receive and to give feedback, the ability to see my body as a tool for self-efficacy rather than an object for others. Things that are really fundamental to young people's empowerment and their sense of place in the world and their sense of power in the world. So I am just so deeply grateful for those skills and those frames of mind that arts education instilled in me. And I think about the work that MCC does day in and day out to ensure that young people in my district and throughout the Commonwealth are receiving those same lessons, sometimes coming from even more precarious financial situations, certainly, than my family was in. And it really gives me hope. I'll wax a little bit mushy here, but it really does give me hope for the state. And I'm happy to report I have a 10-month-old daughter. She just took her very first independent steps yesterday. And so as as my husband and I launch her onto her pathway of independent step-taking in life, it really gives me hope, not just for the Commonwealth, but for her, that we leave public education, as Mr. Churchill said, in the trust of the MCC and the arts educators in our state. So job well done, so well deserved, and so thrilled to be here to help present this award to you.